Perry Pearn was the head coach of NAIT's men's hockey team from 1978 until 1993. During his tenure as coach, his teams won 7 ACAC Championships and 5 national championships, giving the ACAC the reputation as one of the greatest college hockey teams in Canada for many years. Pearn went on to be part of the coaching staff of Team Canada at various events, and had an over 20-year career as an assistant coach in the NHL. The Nugget was able to reach Pearn at his new role in Kelowna, where he teaches U17 hockey. Perry talked about joining the team in the fall of 1978. He says he was hired later in the process and was a bit behind the 8 ball that first season. He said one of the first things he and his coaching staff did was consult the University of Alberta Golden Bears coach, now Hall of Fame inductee, Claire Drake.
I said, this isn't rocket science. Let's look at what they do, and if we can mimic that, if we can get, even a few pieces of that, we'll be well on our way to being, relatively successful. And so that's what we did. One of the best university programs in the country was right across the river. So, figure out what they're doing and try to mimic it and do it as well as you can.
Pearn says the team wasn't the greatest that first season, but was able to finish 4th in the league. This position had them heading to the playoffs to play the league powerhouse Red Deer College. Pearn says Red Deer was a favorite to win the national championship that year. The ACAC went on to deliver a huge upset, including coming back from 5-0 to win one of the games. The ACAC went on to lose in the ACAC finals against SAIT. But Pearn says it was a major learning experience.
That kind of gave us the belief that we could win, and it was now a matter of let's get better players and grow the program.
During those days, coaches at NAIT also fulfilled other roles on campus. Pearn had a background in education and was actually teaching in St. Albert before joining NAIT as head coach and as a phys ed instructor. That means Pearn would teach at NAIT for a full school day for most of the week, and then would run practices most evenings. Pearn talked about the national championship his team had won after losing to SAIT in the ACAC League Finals. The national tournament was being held in Calgary, and Pearn said that there was a bit of concern around if they had won in Calgary, to the point where it was decided that the team wouldn't stay the night in the city. After the win, the team opted to celebrate in the dressing room for a little while. The athletic director at the time was dead against allowing the players to celebrate with some drinks after the game, but Pearn says one of his players was actually the son of the NAIT president at the time, who strolled into the dressing room carrying a hockey bag of beer.
So the guys sat in the dressing room, drank beer, they were half dressed, and then they decided the lights were turned out in the arena, but there was enough light in the arena you could see. They said, let's put our gear back on and let's go out and reenact the goals. So in slow motion, they went out, and guys on the bench watching, everybody went through, there was the 3 goals. They reenacted them over and over and over again, and that was how that first national championship was celebrated. And so we kind of knew we were on the right path.
The ACAC were part of some very special events during Pearn's tenure as head coach. This included the face-off games against the U of A Golden Bears, which in later years saw the proceeds go to the Ronald McDonald Houses. Pearn talked about the friendly rivalry the teams carried, with the Golden Bears likely being the best university hockey team in the country, and the ACAC holding that distinction for college hockey.
And so that first game set a record for attendance. The attendance was over 13,500. I think it was 13,676, something like that.
Stories ranged from funny travel mishaps to great details about the games played. That was something someone would notice when talking to Pearn. He still remembers most of the scores of ACAC games, and often even who performed well in those games. Perry started his coaching career back in his hometown of Stettler, Alberta. He talked about coaching everything from pee-wee hockey to women's fastball, and during his 4 years of teaching, coached everything from track and field to volleyball to basketball. Pearn also talked about the influence NAIT's other coaches had on him and his team during those years.
That time at NAIT was a tremendous time for me, and the other thing that a lot of people maybe don't realize about NAIT was There was a group of coaches there that, supported one another.
What Perry Pearn accomplished in his time at NAIT was nothing short of incredible.